Speaking of Tupac murders and stuff like that and people relating to Tupac, Suge Knight. This is interesting. So Suge Knight seemingly took a diss at Eminem. And what are we talking about here? So let's go over the article. Suge Knight has attributed what he considers the sole failure in Tupac's catalog to Eminem, who oversaw one of the late rapper's posthumous projects. On the new episode of Collect Call with Suge Knight that premiered on Tuesday with Dave Mays' Breakbeat Media, the former Death Row Records boss talked to Cat Williams about loyalty, the music business, and working out, among several other topics. During their chat, the 53-year-old also discussed all the people trying to get a piece of Pac following his demise, and that one record that turned out poorly as a result. So let's play the clip.
But at the same time, man, it's like this. A lot of people been want to do like songs with Pac, and a lot of people,
Right.
some people even did some with Pac, and they never. There was only one Tupac project that ever flopped before, and that's the one Eminem did on unreleases. All the rest of them were successful.
So Suge Knight is saying that the only Tupac posthumous or Tupac project in general that flopped was the one that Eminem had a part in making. So let's go over. Let's see what the performance of this album was. And let's see. It was the 9th studio album from Pac and the 5th posthumous studio album by Pac. So let's go over the numbers, man. I'm really curious. So Loyal to the Game debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart with first week sales of over 330,000 copies within its first week. This was December 14th, 2004. On February 15th, 2005, the album was certified platinum with sales of over 1 million copies. As of September 2011, the album has sold 1.2 million copies in the United States. I do remember, some of these tracks off this project. But how is this a flop? That's the question here. What is Suge Knight talking about? Does he just not like Eminem? Or did he feel maybe too Slim Shady sounding, I guess? Maybe. I do remember this project, and I don't remember a lot of tracks. I do remember some of them. But it wasn't that bad. From what I remember, it wasn't that bad of an album. So why is Suge Knight calling this a flop? Because maybe he hasn't sold like the rest of the Pac albums when it comes to overall sales. But debuting at number 1 is not it's not a flop. If you debut at number 1, that's not. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if you sell 20,000 copies that week. You're number 1 that week. It doesn't matter. If you outperformed everybody that week that came out, you're number 1. How is that a flop? What's the, I'm confused on that. Like that logic to me makes no sense. Now, are there standards for certain artists? Like, hey, if an artist drops, this is what you expect. But if they don't sell that much, some people still consider it a flop. I can see that. I can understand that. But still, if you're number 1 that week, you beat out everybody. How is that a flop? To me, that doesn't make any sense. If you're still number 1 that week. Now, you could also look at it like this. Let's just say you're number 1 that week, but then you fall off the second week. You go to number, 17, right? Because most albums, they don't fall that far down the second week. They'll fall like to 3rd, 4th, maybe 7th, maybe out the top 10 the second week. But if the second week it falls a lot, then maybe it's a flop. Because at that point, you're like, okay, you had that number 1 for that week, but then the album just isn't impacting like that. But I mean, you guys have to factor in Tupac is not alive, so you can't promote the album. Eminem can, attach his name to it, which he did, and produce things, which he did. But at the end of the day, like, he can't go out there and promote the album and be like, oh, check out this new Tupac album. Check out the new Tupac album. That's something only Tupac could do, or the people that are, like his mother could do, or something like that. But let's see if there's any updates on the actual certifications on this album. Yeah, there's no updates on the Loyal to the Game album. So it was certified platinum February 15, 2005. So we don't know as of now how much it's sold. It's been, basically 19 years it's been. There's been no updates on the sales on this album. So a lot of these need to be updated, Look at that. All Eyes on Me album went diamond back in 2014. Tupac's Greatest Hits album went diamond back in 2011. It's a long time ago. You might have a double diamond album by now, 20 million records on an album by now. It's been, for the Greatest Hits, I'm sure the Greatest Hits probably be the one that would be more, that would actually, yeah, I think that would be the one that would outperform the All Eyes on Me album, because it's the Greatest Hits, has all the songs in one. I'm almost willing to bet that Greatest Hits is over 20 million sold by now. It's 2011 last time they updated, and that was diamond, meaning 10 million sold. You look, what, it's been 2011, 2021 was 10 years. You add on, what, another 3, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, so 13 years later, it definitely, I can see it being over 20 million sold. But I think, I don't know, man. That's a question that, for different people, it's different ways. I think if you go number one, it's still number one at the end of the day. It goes down in history as number one. But, I mean, I sometimes also look at the second week and third week and say, you know what? Or you can also look at the impact of the album. So if you fell off quick and you didn't really impact, but we can't really factor the impact aspect because Pac isn't there to kind of promote it, push it out there, and it's not his vision on an album. It's, whatever people think is the right vision for a Tupac album, or at least what Eminem thought at the time. But regardless, it went number one. So I think Suge Knight calling it a flop, just to me, I disagree with. He still went number one. Sold 330,000 first week. That's not like, at the time, even at that time, that's not like chump change numbers. 330,000 in a week. That's not, not everybody was fucking doing those numbers. Let's just say that. So Suge Knight is working on a posthumous album, and he, in this interview, like on this episode, he was talking with Cat Williams. So Cat Williams is going to have a role in that posthumous album. I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know if people are really excited about it. I've heard kind of backlash and kind of, oh, what is going on? Why is Cat Williams on a posthumous Tupac album? I think, I know Pac had a lot of records, and he probably still does, that have never been released. There's been a lot of music that's been leaked, and that's people been purchasing on like forums and just all kinds of crazy stuff. I understand that, but at a certain point, it's like, how many more posthumous albums, should you release from this guy? At a certain point, it's like, okay, we've released what we think is it, and that's it, and there should be no more. So let's see how much. I don't remember how many posthumous albums Pac even has. Let's see here. So let's go over 2Pac's. I'm curious. I really want to see how much posthumous albums does Tupac have released. Because if it's over 10, yeah, they're tripping. The Time of the Death, obviously the fifth and final studio album, the Don Illuminati, but that was released posthumously, even though he did finish that album and had already planned to release. So I guess you can we won't count that. Since Pac was alive, finished it within a week in August of 1996, it's different. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 posthumous albums. The last one being Pac's Life. I remember that record. What do you know about Pac's life? That record was fire with T.I., I think, on that, and Ashanti, yeah. I didn't mind the Pac's Life album. Where did this album debut at? See, this one debuted at number 9, selling 159,000. That's a flop. You debuted at number, not even barely in the top 10. That's a flop. They tripping. Saying Eminem's is a flop, and that bitch went number 1. Hell no. So you got 1, 2, yeah, like I said, 7 posthumous albums. I think that's way too much for somebody that's passed away. I get it. The guy has an insane amount of music, but if you're going to do a posthumous album, do it. I don't know, man. It's tough with these posthumous albums. That's why I don't like the AI stuff, because it's the person's not here, man. I wouldn't want, if I passed away, God forbid, whatever, I wouldn't want somebody taking, projects that I had. Let's just say the Give It Should I Try documentary, and then trying to do a massacre documentary and being like, this is what Quake would have done, and this is how he would have executed it. And I wouldn't like that because I'm not there. That's just my, personal opinion on it. But I mean, I don't know. It's a slippery slope with these things, man. I think, I don't even get into the AI stuff when it comes to Pac, because the AI stuff can be ridiculous. But I think it's been a while since we got a Tupac posthumous album. So if Cat Williams, if Suge Knight feels like Cat Williams is one of the people that do it, and they take their time with it and they execute it properly, then whatever, man. Release another Tupac posthumous album. I think 7 is good enough. I think they should be done with that. A lot of people gave a lot of backlash to the Pac's Life album. A lot of people didn't like it. The reviews on it were bad. I remember it getting released and people were just shitting on it left and right. So after that, I'm glad that they never released anything after that, like physical albums that came out from labels, because at that point it's like, now you're just milking a cow. We saw how bad it went with Pop Smoke. Oh my God, that second posthumous album was so bad. There's only like 2 tracks that were good on there. It was so bad. They were trying to milk Pop Smoke for as much as they could. Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon was like 70 to 80% complete from Pop Smoke. So it makes sense to put that out there. But the fucking second one, nah, man. Juice WRLD, I'm not even gonna lie though. Juice WRLD's, he's got fucking a lot of music. That guy was super talented. He's got a lot of posthumous albums coming out that are actually really good, in my opinion. I think they're handling the Juice WRLD situation way better than I think anybody else posthumously that I can think of. I think Juice WRLD's getting the best, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, other people have given backlash about Juice WRLD, stop releasing projects. How much more music does he have? I'm really curious to see how the Nipsey Hussle posthumous releases happen, because it's been a long time. We're in 2000, we're about to be in 2000. What am I saying? About to be in 2024, but we're about to be in the anniversary of Nipsey's death, which was in 2019 to 2020. That's 2021, 2, 3. So it's about to be 5 years since Nipsey passed, and there's not a single posthumous album. Nothing. There's posthumous verses on, songs, but we haven't gotten a posthumous album from Nipsey. And I think they're really taking their time, and they're trying to do it in a way that I hope they do it, because I don't even know at this point. It seems like we're not even going to get a posthumous album from Nipsey, which would really suck, but that's what I'm most excited for. So yeah, we'll keep our eye on this. I guess Suge Knight had some choice words for Eminem. It is what it is. What do you guys think about the album? I don't know. Leave your comments whenever, if you're watching this on the video version.